In this video, I'll be discussing 7 best practices that can help boost your mental health at work, especially if you're in a leadership role. You've probably been feeling for a while now like you're performing on a stage every day at work. You're showing up strong, you're smiling right, you're leading with integrity, you're literally giving your all. So, service level, you're doing everything right. But behind the curtains, you know that you're just trying to keep it together. You're running on empty, you're exhausted mentally and physically, and it's causing you a lot of anxiety. There are even moments where you feel like you're losing yourself to your job in the name of doing everything right. If that's you, then this video is for you. Hi, welcome back to my channel, and if we are meeting for the very first time, my name is Nancy. I'm a former airline professional turned workplace leadership trainer and author of leadership books that help you to serve as the best version of yourself throughout your career. So you'll mostly find me here discussing topics on matters of leadership, professional growth, career advancement as you consciously protect your mental and emotional well-being. So if you're in a leadership role or aspiring to take up one soon, my kind of content may resonate with you. Kindly consider subscribing, press that notification bell, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video. I want to discuss with you realistic day-to-day practices that don't require you to quit your job. You don't have to go on compassionate leave. No, do you even have to keep up the survival mode? You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. if you've been waking up at 6 a.m. and it's been working just fine to date. These are practices that are going to fit into your life, practices that you can stick to even when things get overwhelming. And if you work in high pressure work environments, calm can feel impossible. So if you're ready, let's dissect these practices. At number 7, learn the power of strategic no's. Every yes you give away without intention will steal energy from your priorities and your peace. You're leading this big initiative in your department that needs your maximum input, but then you're asked to mentor just 1 or 2 more people while at it. Then a polite request comes through for you to stay 45 minutes more after work to ensure that everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. You feel honored, you feel flattered that someone high up in the organization considers you capable of handling this kind of responsibility. Then out of guilt, you say yes, much as you're completely maxed out. You feel drained and you'll be literally working yourself to the ground. These are the moments when you want to assess if you said yes from pressure or was it from your deeper why, your sense of purpose, so that you don't resent yourself when similar opportunities show up in future. We have this African proverb that says, do not throw away your water just because you heard it will be raining. Just because these opportunities are coming your way does not mean that you have to literally overwork yourself, overlooking your health. Neither should you be unpleasant about saying no, because they can be transferred to another one and leave you more vulnerable. The secret here is to practice saying no with warmth and firmness. The kind of no that leaves room for connection, not guilt. For example, I'm honored you asked and I'd love to support, but right now my plate is almost tipping over. Looking at my bandwidth, I need to focus on my current priorities just to be able to give my very best. So let's revisit next week or in 2 weeks' time. And here you're giving yourself time and space to manage your responsibilities with intention. It's honest, it's empowering, and no bridges are being burnt in the process. Overcommitment can lead to chronic stress. When you keep chasing validation at the expense of your peace of mind. Tell yourself that the boundaries that you create are your mental health protectors. At number 6, build your emotional boardroom, your safe circle. This is your safe space to check in and take the mask off. Even the strong ones need emotional mirrors, spaces where you can be okay to be soft just for a minute. That makeup-free zone where you can let it all out without fear of judgment. And most people in leadership role feel like you have to keep it together all the time because everyone looks to you for strength, for support, for guidance. It comes with the title. But who do you look to for all these things? These expectations can actually become isolating, especially during a crisis when your own emotions are intense, but you can't even show them. So when you suppress your emotions, they compound, leading to heightened anxiety and even emotional numbness, where you just choose to ignore the discomfort. But then connection combats isolation. And I talk about this a lot in my book, Lead Outwardly Loud. The title chapter is Hydrate Your Inner Circle. And we also discuss it in our workplace leadership community, only because I believe you're as strong as your support system. Even if it's made of only 2 genuine persons, that's that space where you can actually drop a voice note after an overwhelming day at work and just say, today sucked. No explanations, no judgments, just free, raw feelings, and everyone gets you. That space where you can actually communicate through emojis, and your people know that a certain emoji means you need to vent, or one you need to celebrate, or you're just about to lose it. And you can see that not everyone can fit into this space unless their hearts and yours are safe with each other's vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is strength, but the context matters. You have to choose your audience wisely, because in the wrong environment, you can easily come across as weak, emotionally imbalanced, in a way that would actually put your leadership capacity in question. In the right context, this little system can actually save your mental health, because you have an outlet that is going to help you naturally regulate your nervous system. And that way, you don't have to keep emotions bottled up to such unhealthy levels that can even cost you. Your emotional boardroom is going to keep you from carrying everything alone. And I believe this is one of the best ways to stay centered. So if you don't have one yet, just identify one person who you believe fits into the description we've just discussed. Send them a simple text, something to the tune of, can I text you sometime when I need a 3-minute mental break? And I'll do the same for you. Though by the time you get to this point with this person, you don't even need permission. But do it anyway so you can hear yourself say it out loud. That right there is your emotional boardroom. At number 5, create micro moments of recovery. A 10-day retreat will not fix the back-to-back client calls that define your days in the office. Sometimes what you need are tiny exits from the chaos, before the overwhelm checks in. Call it bathroom breaks, so that you can step outside, away from your desk, to go get a few minutes of just deep breathing, especially after 2 or more hours of deep work. Or you can call it the Joy Jolt playlist escape, where you put on that one energizing feel-good song, just one, and dance it out in your office. This one always works for me. Alternatively, you can just close your eyes and let yourself feel the music, especially after a frustrating conversation or during those moments where your energy dips mid-afternoon. Joy is medicine, and sometimes all you need is a good 10 minutes or 60 deliberate seconds to reset and get your energy back. And the music will instantly shift your mood, which is going to help release tension and boost dopamine, that feel-good hormone, all of which will refuel your emotional tank. And for some people, just watching a funny cat or dog video help them survive the back-to-back client calls without losing their calm. The plan here is to pick out what works best for you, whether it's movement, laughter, water, quiet. Then take a few minutes and do it. And if you want, just try this 5-5-5 reset rule, where after a few hours of deep work, you intentionally take 5 deep breaths, or gift yourself a 5-minute walk away from your workstation just to clear your mind. And then use that time to say 5 kind words to yourself. I'm good at what I do. I love that I work and gel well with my peers and teams. I bring the right energy to work. I serve as an asset in this organization. I am where I need to be right now. You can go on and just add yours, but you'll notice that you don't need a full hour for this. Just a full pause to finish your days strong. And these tiny breaks are going to reset your nervous system, giving your body permission to slow down. Then you'll notice that your heart rate eases, your breath deepens. Even the distance between your earlobe and the tip of your shoulder increases, a sign that your body no longer feels tight. And now your body enters the rest and restore mode, pressing the reset button for your whole system. That's not luxury, it's a lifeline. At number 4, guard your time fiercely, like it's gold. Mental fatigue increases when we don't give ourselves white space. That part of your day that is unburdened, and you just have a minute to think and feel. Everyone wants a piece of your time when you get to work. And responsibilities will always be calling out to you, be it in the form of emails that need an urgent response, or the last-minute meetings that you have to squeeze into your schedule, the team building activities, or even the mentorship and training sessions that need your brain to be fully engaged. And before you know it, your days are packed and you have zero time to yourself, even to grab a sandwich just on your time. So your calendar is your boundary system. If it's chaos, it's going to be easy for your mind to be equally in a mess. So guarding your time is more than just time management. And if organized well, it can help preserve your identity outside of work. Leadership can swallow you whole if you don't have your foundations sorted right. Like, who are you outside of your title? And if taken today, would you still be that person who loves reading, dancing, hanging out with your kids, or even just breathing without being needed? Or you'd be completely lost? Guarding your time is that not so subtle declaration that my role is what I do, not who I am. Just a reminder that your worth is not based on productivity. And this is what creates stability in the long run. Another not so fun fact is that in those high pressure roles, feeling out of control is one of the biggest triggers for anxiety and burnout. So you want to stay rooted in what you can control. You may not control the daily fires that you have to put out, your inbox with the influx of emails, or even the boardroom politics, but you can control when you take a break, what meeting you decline, when you stop for lunch, those kinds of things. And on the downside, there's real danger in not guarding your time. That moment when you become available to everyone else to the point that your needs become invisible, even to yourself. So when your safety stops being a priority, emotional exhaustion and that quiet resentment will take center stage. Just think of this. There are board meetings that you cannot fail to attend unless you're unwell or something close to that. So you block them under the non-negotiables in your calendar, and yet just 30 minutes to yourself, just to regroup feels like a by the way. Just try giving yourself the same weight in your calendar daily and give it a label so strong that you cannot overlook it. Something like, Nancy's prime time, non-negotiable, if that helps. Try that twice a week and see how you feel. If need be, you can even increase it right from there, and you'll notice that your mood is going to be better, your focus will improve, and people will respect your time more. And to be honest, that's what we all want. At number 3, start your day intentionally, not reactively. I read somewhere about the secret power of owning your mornings before the world owns you. Basically, the way we start our day sets the tone for how it flows. And leadership roles are full of fires that you have to put out regularly. You just don't have to wake up inside of one. Consider the first 3 to 5 things that you do from the moment you wake up. Do you reach out for your phone even before brushing your teeth, just to see if something happened on social media while you were asleep? Or are there messages that came in through your WhatsApp groups that you are yet to read and you have to get to them before getting to the bathroom? Are there pending and opened emails that require your attention? Are there deadlines that you haven't even started working on? So you roll out of bed already feeling behind. And these are activities that automatically put your mind on a sprint, in that reactive mode. So you're setting the tone for stress even before the day begins. And then you find yourself asking, what do I want to do? Before even carrying on with the day. But your productivity is going to be compromised if anxiety takes over from the get-go. You don't want to walk into meetings feeling frantic already. What would happen if you dedicated the first 15 to 20 minutes of your time to yourself? No phone, no emails, no news. Instead, just try journaling for a few minutes, for example. Write about what you're grateful for, how you want to feel that day. Just one sentence goes a long way. Say a prayer, do a 3-minute stretch. Just pick one thing that works for you. This is you checking in with yourself, just you and your thoughts. You're being intentional about your day. No input, just output. And now you'll find yourself asking, how do I want to show up today? Who do I want to be? Questions that keep you grounded and in touch with your inner core. And what you're doing here is you're creating a steady internal foundation so that even when stress hits later, and it will, I promise, you'll be responding to from an intentional place and not a reactive one. So you've chosen how you want to show up no matter what the day throws at you, by just setting your internal compass first so that you don't get blown off by everyone else's storm. Then on the downside, overloading your morning with too many intentional rituals can actually be counterproductive. So you decide to start your morning with journaling, meditating, gratitude lists, and you still have your 10-step skincare routine before you even beat the morning traffic to work. And now, instead of feeling centered, the clouds are literally gathering and your head is on a spiral. What you feel now is pressure mixed with guilt. Consistency comes from ease, not from pressure. So one simple, doable intention beats a complicated, perfection-driven morning routine. At number two, let yourself be a work in progress. You want to give yourself permission to be human. And this can only happen if you release the pressure to have it all together. Highly ambitious people have a way of holding themselves to very, very high standards. You want to beat yourself up more than you would others. I should have done this. I should have posed, more during that presentation. Why didn't I look at everyone in the eye? I clearly looked and prepared. Now they think I didn't even have all my facts. That's literally self-blame hitting major highs. And that pressure is exhausting. It's unrealistic. So you become your own worst critic. And leadership doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up, learning, growing, sometimes publicly. So just ask yourself, would you address a teammate or even someone you care deeply about using the same words that you use in your internal dialogue? Or would they sound a bit too brutal to say out loud? We all have an inner critic. And the question here is, how loud do we allow them to speak in our heads? The louder they are, the more we run the risk of earning our worth through over performance, over compensation. We want to please that critic more than we want to stay sane. So the next time you hear your inner critic say, I messed up, and you will, just respond and tell yourself, I'm learning, I'm human, and that's more than okay. Then keep moving. These are words that you would easily use on your best friend if they had a tough moment. Just think progress over perfection, grace over grind. And then put a sticky note on your screen if you have to, so that you have that constant reminder. And what you're doing here is you're slowly breaking the cycle of unrealistic self-pressure, the pressure to be perfect, the pressure to never fail, to never feel off, and you're acknowledging your emotions, and that's a safe space for self-compassion. And the goal is not to drop all your standards. Accountability is still rating up high there on the list. So compassion without honesty is more of self-sabotage than genuine self-care. You just want to guard against being too self-forgiving in the name of being human, that you even unintentionally slip into complacency and self-justification. Let's say you've been going through a heavy season. Personally, I'm going through one right now. Something personal is weighing on you, and you tell yourself, I need to give myself grace. It's understandable, it's necessary. But then without realizing it, you start missing out on deadlines. You're canceling more than showing up. You don't prepare as thoroughly. And then you convince yourself that you've had so much on your plate. People will understand. They have to. It's just how it is right now. Some grace is good. Too much of unchecked human thinking can actually become an obstacle to growth moments and even shield you from taking responsibilities. It feels relieving at first, but over time, your team may start questioning your consistency. Then you start experiencing that low-grade guilt, not because you're not capable. Deep down, you know that you're not showing up as your best self anymore. Self-compassion should actually lift you up and not dilute your role. At number one, don't wait for applause. Acknowledge your growth now. And the plan here is to know the world inside you, so you don't have to look for yourself in the world. In leadership, praise can disappear and you'll rarely get recognition. You'll notice that. So waiting for others to clap for you can actually leave you feeling invisible. Just imagine pulling off something so huge in your department. Your peers looked the other way. Maybe it was mediating a tough conflict that had gone on for too long between teams, and it was on the verge of crippling the entire department. But you stepped in, you literally changed the team dynamic. Peace was restored, but no one noticed. Your boss said nothing, no great job, no email, no, nothing. Because to him, it's part of your job. So you want to convince yourself that you didn't do it for the praise, but it hurts. It's draining. Not just the silence, but lack of recognition over something that could have hurt the company growth if it was left unchecked. I've worked in an organization where there was no shortage of compliment letters, especially when they were well-deserved. And I have equally worked in an organization where the compliments never reached the deserving recipient. These are two completely different ways of leading, and they give two different outputs. Recognition, even self-given, fuels emotional well-being. So celebrate yourself for yourself, because you see and feel the effort, even if no one else does. That moment when you pause and say, wow, I handled that really well. I kept my cool during that stressful meeting with my boss. I should be, and in fact, I can be proud of myself. You're literally serving your brain a dose of dopamine, helping to fill up your emotional tank. And sometimes celebrating yourself is the only round of applause that you get. So you might as well get at it whenever something good happens. Or start a wins list, a wins folder in your phone where every time you experience a personal win, you document it. Even if it's just a voice note, you're building up on your legacy here. And the folder is going to come in handy when you're having a hard day or a hard week and you need an instant mood boost. Waiting for others to notice is going to wear you down. Celebrating yourself is going to keep you fueled from the inside out. You don't have to do all the above that I've mentioned, but you can choose one that whispers to you right now and start doing it, and then build up from there. And if you have one that is already working for you, please feel free to share it with me in the comments. I hope you received value from this video, and if you did, please give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already joined this wonderful community. And if you know someone who would benefit from the content, just feel free to share with them. And also have a look at this video right here on how to communicate like a leader without losing your peace, because it ties in with boosting your mental health at work. Thank you so much for your company, and see you on the next one. Bye.